Bays 2012. Here they come. Nice and slow, boys, so our parents can take pictures. Begin with the recitation of the Rebbe's Kapitel, led by Mendy Zula. Customary to always begin something like this, to connect ourselves back to the Rebbe, and this is how we start our program. Come, Mendy. Let's stand up. Everybody should have a copy. We gave everyone a copy.
Hallelujah, Adonai b'chol le'ilov v'sai yesharim me'ida. Yudarlim ma'aseh Adonai yeshrim b'chol cheftzeihem. Hoi v'hadar v'aloi v'tkasoi arbetes la'ah. Zechar asal v'floisot anu v'rachmon Adonai. Teref nasan l'reyo zizkar la'olam b'risoi. Koyach ma'asov yigit yamar l'seim lahem l'machas gayim. Miase Yodov Emes Mishpach Nahonim Kol Pikudov Sinuchim Lo'ag Lo'olam Asuyim Be'emes V'Yosov Vidu Sholach Li'amay Tziva Lo'olam B'Rislay Kadosh V'Nara Shemoy Reishis Chachma Yiras Ha'inay Seichel Toiv L'chol Ha'yiseihem Ti'ilaisach Ha'medet Lo.
Thank you very much. As I'm sure you noticed, I specifically used the word commencement exercise instead of the standard graduation, the word graduation. Because in this light, I would like to stress more the positive and the exciting aspect of the day. Commencement means the beginning of something new. You are now embarking on a new phase or aspect of your life. You have jumped to the next level. Some of you, we've even pushed a little bit. I'm sure everyone here joins me in wishing you only the best and success as you move forward in life's journey. Looking at the parsha that we read yesterday in Shul, there are many, many parts that are applicable to today's occasion. I would like to, however, focus on just one of those points, which I think gives us great insight in how to conduct ourselves as Jews in the world at large. Of course, we read about the story of how Moshe Rabbeinu sent spies, Meraglim, into the land of Israel to scout out the land and the people that dwell there, that live there. Are they weak? Are they strong? Are they many? Or are they few? Is the land good? Is the land bad? We know that 10 out of the 12 spies came back with what we call an evil report. Not exactly the truth, exaggerated, and even answering questions that weren't even posed to them. One of those statements is what I would like to discuss a little bit this morning. And that was the spies answered like this. V'nehi be'einenu v'chagovim, v'chein hoyinu be'eineihem. And we were in our own eyes like grasshoppers, and so we were in their eyes as well. What does it mean? First of all, it has great, great meaning and deep meaning for all of us, and in particular to our graduates. The spies' perception of themselves was, let's just say, less than favorable. We are grasshoppers. We are small. Because they viewed themselves in this light, the enemy, or those that were there looking at them, saw them in that way. The way they viewed themselves is how people viewed them. The lesson, boys, is obvious. The way that we look at ourselves, the way that we perceive ourselves, this is how the world will see us. Not only on the grand scale as Jews living in a world, and I can't say a world that's friendly to us, but even on the individual level. How we perceive ourselves is how people will look at us. Graduates, boys, not men. First and foremost, you are Jews. Sons of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. You have an ancestry, a lineage of greatness. You come from stock that the world can't duplicate. Never sell yourselves short. Not only that you have the schus of the Avos behind you and your ancestry, but you have a particular schus that you've learned here in Tomchei Temimim, the Yeshiva of Lubavitch. Do you realize what kind of individuals you have connected yourself to as a result of learning here? Rebbes that were moiser nefesh throughout Europe, Russia, at a time when it was most difficult to be a Jew. Men and boys who learned in basements. Many of them, not just at the risk of their lives, they did give up their lives. Many of them spent years in Siberia for the simple act of learning. This is your lineage. This is what you have connected yourself to. When you look at yourself now, and you understand who and what you are, all the obstacles, trials and tribulations that you will come across in your life will fall off. What are they? In the end, all these obstacles, so-called obstacles, they're only there to help you build yourself as a better person, as a better yid. And hopefully you will never succumb to them. There is a story told of a chassid who had the opportunity to do an aveira, a sin. As the time came closer for him to involve himself in this aveira, he stopped and he questioned himself. And he said, "Sapastis, how can I, a chassid of the Rebbe, stoop to such a low level to do an aveira like this?" And obviously, he eventually held himself back and didn't do it. Sapastis. That means he looked at himself in the positive light. He looked from where he came and what he is, and he didn't allow himself to do it. Boys, take pride in yourself. Look at yourselves in this positive light. Know your true value from where you are coming and what you have hopefully grown into. When your self-image and self-esteem is healthy, positive, the way it should be, you can take on the world and view it in the positive light, that they will see you in the same way. On behalf of the entire yeshiva and everyone gathered here today, let me wish you all the best and success in everything that you will do. As boys who have learned in the Rebbe's yeshiva, I can only hope and pray that you will take the teachings that you've learned here, internalize them, and live them. Not only that, but sharing them with all others in the Rebbe's spirit of true Ahavas Yisrael. As we come this week to the day of Gimel Tammuz, the Stalkus of the Rebbe, let's reflect on all that the Rebbe stands for, all that the Rebbe has done in the world. How the Rebbe himself said that since the early age of 3 years old, he envisioned what the world will look like when Mashiach will come. If that's not focused, because you can see the Rebbe's life always in that light towards Mashiach. If we will have that same focus, and we will not, as we say, drop the baton, and we'll keep on going in the same way, then we will merit to see Mashiach Tzidkeinu B'mheira B'yameinu, Mashiach now. Mazel tov, mazel tov. It's with great pleasure we move on in our program. We like to have our boys come and speak. We took the arbitrary words, valedictorian, salutatorian, that's the words that the world uses to celebrate those students that exceeded. And it's not that one was better, one was less. These are like the representatives of the class who worked very hard this year. We'd like to call up our first student, valedictorian David Levy, to say a few words. He has been a student here for many years. It gives us great pleasure to introduce him. Give him your attention.
Today we approach one of the milestones of our life, graduation from the elementary. I look back 10 years ago when I first came to the school, I see a 10-year journey of changes and memories that made a great impact on my life. However, the most important lesson was that while we face the type of changes, you need to hold true to yourself. Remember to hold on to the true value of the Torah. It is these memories that will guide us further on our journey. There's no end in learning. Since Torah, my students are Rabbi Dechter, many of whom have journeyed for weeks to spend the Yom Tov, the Rebbe, their way to the entrance to a shul for the Ataresa and Akafos. Yet the Rebbe did not appear. Hours passed, and still, Mendel did not come out of his room. This month also who dared to enter the Rebbe's room, the coach Rabbi Shner Zalman of Diadi was studying with Mendel in Mesrich, under the guidance of the great Maimon. The Alter Rebbe entered his room, found a Hasidic master deeply engrossed in his thoughts. The Chassidim awaits you. Why don't you come and join us for the Akafos? There are 100 meanings to the verse Ataresa, but I do not yet fully understand them all. Can I possibly come out to recite the verse without proper comprehension of its significance? But Rebbe, you will reach a full comprehension of 100 meanings of Ataresa, will store yet another 100 meanings you have yet to comprehend. You are right. Come, let's go to Akafos. The Fabrekin of Yom Tishrei, Tafshin and Beis, in honor of the United Lubavitch Maraj, Rebbe stressed out the importance of Jewish unity. Not only physical unity, but also spiritual unity, through the Torah. Rebbe explained the famous saying, the Kehila Ariza. The world in general, when faced by a problem, has to go under the problem. If one can't go under the problem, then one goes over the problem. I say, however, I want to go over the problem in the first place. Rebbe explains that the Rebbe Barak lived in a time when the Tsarist Russia was against Judaism. He nevertheless proceeded his work with full strength to extend warning the government if they will not fulfill his request to lay escape before other countries. This thing was spread out in the darkness of exile. It tells us that not only we should not be affected by the darkness, as the going over to an even greater measure. This produces a great fight to dispel the darkness of exile, beyond any limits. When you resolve following the ways of the Rebbe Maharaj, receive strength to carry out his mission in the manner of going over in the first place. And give his strength, Rebbe Rashal established Yeshiva Tokei Tmim. Students have a special mission lining up the world. Rebbe said that anyone who wants to learn Tokei Tmim is a student of Tokei Tmim forever. But probably there are more than 100 meanings of being a Talmud. Alter Rebbe, by the beginning of the Tefillin, when a Jew puts on Tefillin, he should have in mind to dedicate the Shema in his brain, also the desires and thoughts in his heart, service of Hashem. Through putting on Tefillin, one will remember Hashem and increase in the pursuit of his personal pleasures. I believe, if we resolve to dedicate our Shema, desires and thoughts to the service of Hashem, this will give us much knowledge to the Rebbe and bring us closer to Mashiach. I'd like to thank all the people who came to our graduation. I'd also like to congratulate my class for coming to the next step in their lives. I'd like to thank Rabbi Eghaus and Barari helping us to succeed this year. I would like to thank Rabbi Dechter and Rabbi Barris for helping me throughout the years that I've been here.
Thank you, David. That was quite eloquent. I appreciate it very much on behalf of everyone. Our next speaker is another student who has to say the least, really made tremendous strides in the last year, and as a result, the teacher has asked him also to say a few words representing the class in the aspect that he has really gained in the last year, and jumping would even be the right word, he just said. So, Yosef Torstein, will you come up and say a few words for us?
Hello. I'm Yosef Epstein. I'm here at United Lubavitch Yeshiva, Ocean Parkway, since 4th grade. And some are here for just 1 year, since 4th grade. And some are here since kindergarten, or 1st grade. But we all share the same love for our school. I liked everything from the first day of my arrival. I can't forget the day our school won a game of basketball to another school when I was in 5th grade. I wasn't in the league yet. And I wish I would grow up to be in the leagues. I did. And who could forget how good Sonia fed us? And how she said to me, "You get it," when she mistook me for other kids in the class. Basically, that is saying that we are all like brothers. Obviously, there's a lot more things in school to remember, but I won't waste your time, so I'll continue to the main part. My dear teachers, parents, and classmates, today is a very special, significant day for us. The day we finish middle school. This is another milestone in our life. Nursery, kindergarten, elementary, and now middle school is behind us. And I am certain this series of achievements will continue. Through the years of learning in United Lubavitch Yeshiva, we shared a lot of bright moments, and some not so bright. And of course, the not so bright moments were coming from us. Talking here in class, being late for class, undone homework, and failed tests. That is behind us now. Despite all of this, from your side, my dear teachers, there was always understanding, patience, and goodwill. I think, and my classmates will support me in saying this. With happiness, all of us will remember the time spent together. Our success and achievement, the great trips we went to together, the time we spent at ULY is unforgettable. And today I'm saying, from me and my classmates, we want to thank our teachers for their hard and selfless work and for the good they did for us. Thank you.
And he has been associated with the Lubavitch Yeshiva for many, many years. And in general, sometimes when you say someone has been associated with the yeshiva for many years, the average parent, the average child says, "Oh, another burnt out guy." I'm not going to say if it's true or not true for others. I can only say what I know to be reality and truth. And that I've seen Rabbi Eghaus all the years that I've been here, which I'm hitting almost 30 years. But I can say that I've watched him and all these years, and I don't think I've seen any signs of what you call burnout. I see a man who enjoys learning, and likes to imbue that love of learning into his Talmidim, which that's what it's all about. And I can tell you, and I'm sure you understand in your own homes, sitting with a bunch of teenage boys that have just hit 13, 14, and you're sitting there having to teach them Gemara, it's not a job for everyone. It's not a job for everyone in the least. And yet Rabbi Eghaus comes, and I know he prepares in the evening, and every class is a new class, and every year is a different year, different than the last year. So everything has to be revamped and worked around and changed. Rabbi Eghaus is a mechanech par excellence. So I'm not going to let you have to hear from me. We'll let you hear from Rabbi Eghaus now. Rabbi Eghaus.
Thank you so much. It's a little hurtful to hear all those things because you have to really live up to it. I just want to go back a little back in my history. I would say about 45 years ago, when I was about to graduate from high school, and I finished high school in Lubavitch Yeshiva. Baruch Hashem, I started Aleph Beis in Lubavitch Yeshiva. I went through the whole system. When I came to high school, it's okay? When I came to high school, I graduated from high school, so I had aspirations to become what we call a gadol. I wanted to become great in learning. And I felt that there were other yeshivas on the horizon, which I felt I could maybe do better. And I was thinking about going elsewhere, to leave Lubavitch and to go on. My parents were not Lubavitch all the way back, not originated from Lubavitch. But my father and my mother both had a very strong feeling for the Rebbe, for the Friedrich Rebbe, for the Rebbe's father-in-law. And I was thinking about going to another yeshiva. I told my father I want to really go into learning. So he says to me, you know where you're going? You're going to 770. And you know who sits in 770? The Rebbe. He says, I want you to be under the same roof as the Rebbe. And sure enough, my father went out. And I came to 770. And Baruch Hashem, I've been in Lubavitch since then. I'm really not only, he says, I have no regrets, but I'm very grateful to my father that he forced me to stay in 770 and to stay in Lubavitch. And to be honest, I never left Lubavitch. I've been here in Lubavitch since then. When I finished learning in yeshiva, got married, went to Kailo in 770. From there, went straight back to Lubavitch Yeshiva again to teach. And I can tell you, I really feel I had a very, very successful life as far as that goes. It was a schus to be connected to the Rebbe. The Rebbe once said by Farbrengen, was talking to the Bachrim on Shabbos, and there's Bachrim who sent in complaints to the Rebbe about various things. And the Rebbe said, you should know, but whatever may be wrong in yeshiva, as far as food goes, as far as sleeping quarters, as far as even the Rabbeim, you may think your Rosh Yeshivas are not perfect, they're not giving you what you really require, not giving you what you would want. The Rabbeim are here in the same Ketuvim. The Rabbeim all the way up from the Alter Rebbe all the way down. As we know that when the Rebbe Rashab started the Institute of the Yeshiva, the Rebbe tells us that the Rebbe Rashab went to all the Kohanim, to all the cemetery places where all the Rabbeim were, and asked that they should also take part in this Yastis, in the instituting of Lubavitch Yeshiva. The Rabbeim are here with us all the time. And what we have to remember is that we carry the hashpah from the Rebbe. I think there's, I told the boys on Friday that what the Rebbe said once at one point, I don't remember if it was Rebbe Rashab or the Friedrich Rebbe, said, whoever will learn from Temple T'mimim and eat the kasha from Temple T'mimim, that means eat a meal from Temple T'mimim, will always do tshuva eventually. Even if it goes off, will do tshuva. That's the power of Temple T'mimim. So therefore, as we leave today, we're not leaving Chas v'Sholom, as the Rebbe would say. A Chag HaSiyum, a graduation, does not mean that we're finished. Graduation means we're first starting. We're going to the next step. As we leave from here today to the next step, we have to remember we learned the Torah between them, we learned the Rebbe's yeshiva, the Rebbe is here with us. And we have to display and exhibit this pride that we have. An interesting story that happened many years ago. My father was in a hospital, and Bacher was in Kingsbrook Hospital, and a Bacher came in from Mitzrayim to go around putting on film. Next to my father's bed was an old man. He was a very angry person, and this Bacher goes over to him and says, "Mister, maybe you want to put on film." He says, "Leave me alone." So the boy tries again. "It'll only take a minute." He says, "Please, get away from me." He tries once more again. Just at that moment, the nurse walks in. It was a West Indies woman, and he says, "There's one more thing." He said to me, he said, it won't take long. You remember, you're a Jewish person. He said, "I'm not interested in being Jewish. I don't care." So just at that time, the nurse walks in and walks over to him and says, "Mister, what are you saying? You know who you are? You're the chosen nation." Imagine that a guy has to tell a Jewish man, "You're the chosen nation. You're from the chosen nation." And this is what a guy had to remind him. We have to remember we are Talmidim of Ketuvim, and we have to have that pride in us that we learned in the yeshiva, the Rebbe's yeshiva, and this should be our guidance for the rest of our life. This very interesting story that happened, there was in London, after the war was over, there were two Dayanim, two great people of the Torah, of yeshivas. One was called Dayan Fisher, one was called Dayan Abramsky. Maybe you've heard of the great Rav Abramsky. He was a Dayan in the Bezdin. And Dayan Fisher was a very learned person, but unfortunately as an orator, he wasn't the greatest. And Dayan Abramsky, when he spoke, he had a very big crowd of people, and people were rushing to hear his words. One day, Dayan Fisher approaches Dayan Abramsky, and he says to him, "Dayan Abramsky, you and I know very well that I know how to learn as much as you do. You and I know that you can speak English as bad as I can." He says, "Why is it that when you speak, you get such a big crowd, and when I speak, I don't have people listening to me? And when they're there, they talk while I'm speaking, they're not interested." And Dayan Abramsky had a very deep observation, deep insight. And he says to him, "I'll tell you why," he says. "Because when you get up to speak, you concentrate how bad your English is. When I get up to speak, I concentrate how good my speech is." The pride that a person has is what makes the person grow. As Rabbi Dechter pointed out before, in last week's Sedra, the Meraglim said, that the facts that they brought back were true. They did hear the giants say, as they were walking in the garden, "Look at those little grasshoppers," meaning themselves, that they would be trampled upon, stepped upon, and Chas v'Sholom destroyed. But they didn't have to say, the fact that they said, "We on our eyes are like grasshoppers," that they had such a low esteem of themselves, that was the thing that ruined them. Same thing over here. As Rabbi Dechter pointed out, as we go into the world, it's a tough world out there. It's not easy. But if we go out with the pride, I remember also when we went out for shlichus very often, you go out, you have to meet people. Also, when we went out for America shlichus, I would say to myself, these people are professionals. How can I sit down and talk to them? I always remembered what the Rebbe said, "Ich gehe mit euch." I'm with you. When we went out from Mecca Shlichus, we realized the Rebbe is here with us. And therefore, it gave us the fortitude, the strength to be able to speak up. And we had very intellectual conversations with people. And never thought I could do it. However, though, with the Rebbe's Kaiches, you can do it. When boys who are graduating today are leaving the yeshiva, I don't mean chas v'sholom to knock anybody else. I heard once Rabbi Yisrael Brown, all of a shalom, once said, you don't get bigger from knocking somebody else. You got to grow on your own. I'm saying over here also, I'm not chas v'sholom saying that any place else is different or worse, or whatever it may be. However, though, the fact is, we have to know our kaiches, we have to know our great things that we have in us, what was instilled in us through the years of time between them. So I hope that the boys in this graduating class, I want to tell you, when we give out the diplomas, I told the boys, usually you should be saying some words of praise to each boy, because every one of these 13 boys have good midas, great things in them. But you can't start talking about this one or that one. First of all, it will take a long time. I know people don't want to sit around here, especially at graduation. Sometimes get a little boring. So therefore, we're trying to cut it short. So I don't say praise, but the fact is I can tell you that it was really a very good year, Baruch Hashem. We accomplished a lot. We did a lot. We had a lot of inyanim of inspiration. And I hope that the boys will carry it along with them. And they will be able to use that as the weapons that they need, or the things that need to get into the world. So let's wish that we should, as we always end off, we're going to cross Mashiach Tzidkenu with the Rabbi Barris, the Meher of Yemenu Amen. Like I said, I'm not going to give out the sort of the good things that we came across the year about each boy. I'm just going to hand out the diplomas. All right, Eliezer Handler. Ariel Batura. Mendy Zula. Maisha Telish. Yehuda Lipkin. Roe Assis. David Levy. Naftali Limak. Yitzi Wall. Yehuda Lev Cohn. There's Albert Franklin. Mendy Lawrence. And last but not least, Yosef Yitzhak Tetzler. I want to thank everybody again, and I want to thank the Rebbeinu Shalom for giving me a year together with this class, and the Eibusha should give me kaiches. I should be able to continue. I hope I'll be successful further on until Mashiach Tzidkenu v'Meher v'Yameinu Amen.
Again, we're going to deviate a little bit longer. Our service is on its way with our guest speaker, so we'll move along now. We'll introduce Rabbi Dechter. He is a, relatively speaking, a newcomer to the yeshiva. 7 years, but it's relatively new. But I think, to coin the expression, Rabbi Harari is an out-of-the-box speaker. And Baruch Hashem, the yeshiva is what it is. Don't be committed. We run according to certain dictates and rules. But on the other hand, there's always room for innovation. And I think Rabbi Harari has brought that sense of innovation and out-of-the-box thinking and excitement exactly when it's needed and to whom it's needed. And I think all the programs that we've instituted in the previous years, our Shmul Shraga, Mitzvahs campaign, our leagues that one of the boys spoke about, which again, leagues and the sports are done basically at recess time, not cutting into the learning, but it is something that in our day and age is necessary and good for the children to release that energy, that pent-up energy that they have. And he's instituted, they have Shabbos morning learning. Hashem took over, and he does that with the boys. He has Fabringers with the boys. They've gone on trips. And when I say trips, not just standard, trips that most schools take. I think they've done apple picking, fruit picking, hiking in the mountains. They've gone to visit boats, sailing, things that just the average person doesn't even think about. But I think that everyone will agree it's added another dimension to our children's lives, and in a good sense. And that's what's important. We have to make sure that our children are learning, but learning in an environment of which they're happy, comfortable, and feeling good. Just deviate for 1 second. I once took an educational course. It's a few weeks course, and every day was run by the Chush, the person who invented it, or began the program. And he gave this class to 50 adults, Machanchim, Morris, and at the end of every lecture, he asked the teachers for all your needs met. Not once. Twice. After every lecture, that was his closing remark. Finally, on the last lecture, he asked, has anybody ever wondered, why am I asking you if all your needs were met? And he said, because when a person's needs are met and they feel comfortable, they're more receptive to learning. And that's what we've hoped to have accomplished with our boys, that we've offered them many different outlets, Sai English, davening with the minyan. Our boys were the chazonim. We'd like to help them in the future learn how to lane a little bit. They could take the minyan part. They've done wonderful things throughout the year, as I said with Rabbi Harari, that all that is a full picture of a student. And when the student is happy and excited, as I think most of our boys are, then you have a well-rounded student and a boy that you can count on to continue his education in the right way. So Rabbi Harari, I thank you on behalf of the yeshiva and the boys as well. We'll ask you to say a few words.
Good afternoon. We give this message to the class of 8th grade. As Rabbi Dechter said, this is the 7th graduation that I had the pleasure to participate in. And with each year, which usually flies by, I find myself the night before the graduation scrambling to see what am I going to put together, what for some final message or a word of inspiration that would be appropriate for them, for family, for friends, and everyone else who came to participate with them. And I looked at the year, and halfway through my efforts, I stopped, and I said, this year was, Baruch Hashem, as a class, was very, very different than previous years, as a class as well as individuals. That I didn't really need to look into a book or think of a story that I once heard. I didn't need to think about a fabrengen that I attended, whether as a bacher or as someone older. I was able to find any inspiration or a good word, not outside, but within the class themselves, within every single individual of the class. Another spark, another beautiful attribute that sometimes I left school saying, wow, that's really amazing. Or I would call Rabbi Dechter and let him know about what someone wrote or what someone thought. So what we're going to do two things is, one, we normally say something as well to give them out. Not to go against what Rabbi Eghaus said, we're going to mention a slight thing about each bacher, and I actually wrote things down so I know when to stop. Otherwise I'll be able to keep going. So we're going to mention something that we saw or heard or witnessed, and then mention the bacher, and the bacher can come up and receive his diploma for 8th grade English for 2012. Starting with, we had a student who observed some bickering in the class, some fighting. Rabbi Dechter mentioned they're 13, they're 14. Things happen, issues come up. And he noticed the bickering, and it bothered him. It bothered him sincerely, and by a recess, or by a break, he stood up and he said, "Gentlemen, this isn't how we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be close. We're supposed to be friendly. There's no room for this fighting. I won't stand for it." And I was very impressed that someone, would go up and just not only feel that, but be able to express it. So obviously, like we said, we could go on, but that bacher, the individual came up, that's Ariel Baturav. Our next individual, you can hear me without the mic? Alright. Our next individual was a student who worked very hard on himself, works hard on himself, had numerous passions in different areas, very, very into research and looking things up, and was always outgoing, always willing to help others. Also with a great writing ability when he needs to express something, whether in words, able to put it down, but just a great bacher who worked very hard on himself and tried this CIC. So Mitzvah, we should continue to see this in the future. Yehuda Cohen. Okay, this one. Okay, I'll try to be brief. A student has an outgoing nature that is contagious, that anywhere the person is, I could ask them, "Oh, did you see so-and-so?" And there could be a crowd of 500 people there, and they say, "Oh, yeah, sure, we met him." Outgoing, sensitive towards others. And one thing that Rabbi Dechter meant, one thing that struck me, there are many things over the many years that he mentioned to me that I stood back and said, "Wow, how mature, how amazing." This bacher was driving, we were driving back from yeshiva, and he was discussing his Rebbe, Rabbi Eghaus. And he said, when I get older, not too much older, he said, but when I get a little older, I want to be like Rabbi Eghaus. He said, do you see how he learns, how he's so involved, he knows everything. He was just going on, and I was like, wow. I don't remember when I was in 8th grade, I was like, yeah, I want to be like my Rebbe. But I thought that was beautiful. I really thought it was great. We have more to say about him later, but we'll cut it off. Mr. Mendy Zula. Moving right along. A student also that worked very, very hard this year on improving himself in many areas. Anywhere he had a difficulty, he would kind of tackle it. He would have kind of like a to-do list. Didn't write it down. It was a mental to-do list. He would always go after one thing after another. If there was something he didn't understand, he would hang out by recess, which most people love to run out by recess or to go down and play basketball. he would want to make sure he knows what's going on. If he doesn't understand something, he'll keep working on it. And even if I was in a rush and I had somewhere to go, and I was like, don't worry about it, he was still worried about it. And he had to get the answer, he had to figure it out. That person is Mr. Roe Hassis. Sometimes within a class, a student can be slightly shy to express his feelings, and this person, Baruch Hashem, is able to express himself. He's not the loudest of Achrim, but whatever needs to be said, or whenever it does, he usually would get up and make mention of it. He would kind of fly under the radar, meaning you don't hear of him too much, but he gets what he needs. He does what he needs to. I believe it was his first year here. I believe his year was quite successful. He did, for the most part, what he needed to do, and Mitzvah in the future he'll continue to do what he needs done. But he was a pleasure to have in class, Mr. Mendy Lawrence. A couple of years ago, there was a student who observed me making an error on the board, and he just exploded out of his seat, raised his hand. You got it wrong. There's something wrong there. He was jumping up and down. He was all excited. I was a bit annoyed by that. But someone who this year would so diplomatically, when he saw me do something incorrect, spell something wrong, put something in wrong context, I would get like a little note, or in the journal that he wrote that night, say, by the way, Rabbi Harari, I noticed you wrote this, and I believe it's like this. So I always would get these constructive criticisms from him throughout the year, which I appreciate, and I might hang on to his journal so I can use it for next year, so I don't repeat any errors. This person is Mr. Eliezer Handler. In Pirkei Avos, I believe it's Parakal, Rabbi Eghaus will correct me otherwise, in regards to a person, their midos, there's different character traits that a person can have. There's a person who gets excited quickly, and it takes a long time for him to be, I use the word subdued, but it takes him a while to calm down. There's someone who, it takes a long time for him to get excited, someone who will calm down quickly. In both of those areas, it says a person who's able to come back to the norm. When someone exercises, what is a healthy heart? We see you'll have someone exercise for a minute, you'll take a resting heart rate, you'll see how their heart's beating normally, you'll have them do some intense exercise, check their heart rate then, and then wait a minute and check it again and see how quickly they return close to their resting heart rate. In school, things happen, you're subjugated to the classes, the times, the days, the weathers, whatever it is, and not everything goes our way. And sometimes we could get excited and our heart rate could get up there. And the idea for it to come back down quickly and be able to move on is something, a midah that this person has, and it's a great midah. It's something I don't know if he worked on or was just born with, but Mr. Yitzi Wald, please come up for... All right. 7 years ago, we had a student that after Ma'ariv, we had Ma'ariv every single night in yeshiva up until daylight savings time. And we had a student, we won't mention his name, who said, well, we canceled Ma'ariv. We said, guys, it's the last Ma'ariv. On his way onto the bus, he said, well, Rabbi, Ma'ariv, next time in camp. It's like, what do you mean? It's like, I'm going to go to shul. Ma'ariv was in yeshiva. It was very nice. It was very convenient. In camp, we'll touch up with Ma'ariv again. The individual we're going to call up after Ma'ariv ended here in yeshiva, he continued to go to Ma'ariv pretty much every single night, making sure, even though it's not far from his house, to daven with the minyan. which is in itself an accomplishment. He goes above and beyond, trying very hard to help others, to look to improve. This person is Mr. Zalmi Franklin. All right. Okay, this next student went in all areas above and beyond, whether it is on a basketball court, on a soccer field, whether being a captain in the base medrash. His areas to improve, everyone wrote, they had a project sometime during this year, and they discussed what 5 things inspire them, what 5 things really change them. And this person wrote down, I'm giving it away to you already, this person wrote down his tefillin. And he started writing about his relationship with his tefillin since his bar mitzvah, or since he started putting on tefillin. And how every single time he puts on tefillin, he said it's a different time. His tefillin are different. He's different. He said when they're on, he doesn't feel like, he can't speak to anyone but Hashem. He said, and it was just, he said it's an unbelievable thing. And he said after 120, if there's an article that I could bring with me, I'd like to bring my tefillin because they're so very special. This Bacher, not only that, whether in academics, reading, English subjects, you heard from him earlier, so we're going to call him up here again. Mr. David Levy. Right. There's another student who every single opportunity he has, he likes to entertain others in a positive way. He likes to practice dancing, he likes to go to weddings and dance for a chassan, for a kala, likes to inspire them, likes to try new things of how they'll enjoy it and how they'll think like, wow, this is really neat. This person who tried hard all year long, very, very serious, very open, very clear, great communication skills. The person is Yehuda Lipkin. A Bacher who tried very hard this year, who, when looking at him from previous years as a new student, a new individual, completely changed over the past year and a half. You've never catch the person saying anything wrong about someone. Very slow. When someone bothers them, just like water off a duck's back. Tries very, very hard. I don't see Rabbi Barris here, but even Rabbi Barris told me he once saw him coaching another kid, another student in his skills. He said, when someone bothers you, he said, don't worry about it. He said, they'll go away eventually. You just keep doing what you need to do. So this person should keep doing what he needs to do. Yosef Teigstein. Our last individual that we'll be calling up, this person came with us on many different areas, trips, whether it's backpacking, hiking, sailing. He would always make sure while on these trips, he would be tucked in. He would bring more sparring with him than your average student in Zal would bring to yeshiva. We're on a Shabbaton, we went skiing in Saratoga Springs. Everyone's, having fun, they're playing games. He's like, Rabbi, can we go learn something? I brought a couple Gemaras with me. Let's go find a chair somewhere. So his will to learn, to grow, to strive should continue. And he was definitely an inspiration for many people around him. Mr. Moshe Tialish. And so that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it on the class in a nutshell. As Rabbi Dechter said, in the difference of the class as to other classes, or maybe here as to elsewhere, but we'll just focus as the class, is their feeling of camaraderie, of unity, of being one. I was driving home with a student within the past month and a half, And another school from Crown Heights called me and said, Rabbi Harry, I heard you're going on a trip. So, to here and there. I think it's really great. Can we come? Can we send our 8th grade class with you? And I said, I thought, if they could benefit from it, I said, it doesn't sound like too bad of an idea. Maybe I'll get back to you. I'll see what the class would like. So the person sitting next to me said, the person sitting next to us was Mendy Zulov. He said, Rabbi, he said, I don't want to be mean. Like, you do whatever you need to do. I know you'll do what's right. He said, but whenever I go on a trip with family, I like when it's just family. I don't like anyone else, other people coming along. So I took that as you're right. If we're going on a trip and we're all as family, we're going to continue that way. And we told the school that maybe next time. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed class half as much as I enjoyed teaching it. I really had an enjoyable year. I had a great year. So to the class of 2012, I wish you a mazel tov on a successful year towards a successful summer, to basically success wherever the future takes you, or better yet, wherever you take your future. Once again, we wish you mazel tov, and we're sure we'll see you sometime again soon here.
Thank you, Rabbi Harari.
Do you mind if I sit down here? Sorry.
Everything works out, as we all know, the way we need to have it work out. And our guest speaker will be now Rabbi Shmuel Botman. He is the director of the Lubavitch Youth Organization. He is the director of the weekly Chabad magazine called L'chaim, which the boys take with them all over New York and many other states use it. He's the host of the weekly radio show called Mashiach in the Air. And for those that live on Montgomery Street, I think many years ago he was known as the Helicopter Rebbe, because he is the one who lights the largest menorah in the world, and that goes on Friday afternoons as well. And we used to watch the helicopter come down a few minutes before Lubavitch to let down Rabbi Shmuel Botman. So, amongst all the many things we mentioned, and even more, we'll be honored to hear a few, and hopefully many words of inspiration that not just for students, because the quaint expression I once heard that if you're not willing to learn, then you shouldn't be into teaching. And as parents and educators, we're all into teaching all the time, so we have to learn. So we can all learn a few words and learn some ideas from Rabbi Botman as it inspires us with some words. Thank you very much. Rabbi Botman.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Dechter. I enjoyed Rabbi Harari's talk, taking care of each Talmud, and as we should, because each Talmud is special. And it's a pleasure for me being here, because I'm reminded of my own graduations that took place also in the Lubavitch Yeshiva, in this branch of the Lubavitch Yeshiva. Before the Yeshiva was here, the Yeshiva was at Bedford and Dean. I'm happy to see Rabbi Eghaus. We learned together in Bedford and Dean. Rabbi Eghaus was learning, and I was there too. I was looked up to him, and I still do. My graduation was on Bedford and Dean, and this is an extension. As a matter of fact, I remember what Rabbi Tenenbaum, the principal, Olav Sholem, said at that graduation, and if it was poignant then, it's probably the same. Same Talmidim of the 8th grade. Graduation is always before the summer, as it is now. He spoke in Yiddish, and he said a moshel, what happens when someone is before vacation, what happens when someone has to give a big jump. So you see, I'm not very good at jumping, but I can imagine how that is. That if you want to jump, you have to retreat a few steps, and then you start. And somebody's going to say, if he's going to jump, so why is he going back? Let him start jumping. The answer is that you go back a few steps so that you pick up speed, and then the jump, he said, can be stronger and further and so on. And he said the most will be going on vacation now. And people will think we're going on vacation, Baruch Hashem, goodbye to the yeshiva, and goodbye to the Sforim, and goodbye to the Gemara. We're going on a long vacation. And the answer is the long vacation is only a preparation for the big jump that you are going to take. So although this is true for the 3rd grade and the 4th grade and the 5th grade and the 6th grade, but especially the 8th grade, the jump you are going to take is going to be a big one. You're going to go in from elementary school to Mesivta, and that's really, really a big jump. So, but this summer, although you're going to retreat a little bit, but it's in preparation of the great jump that you are going to take in Yirtzeh Hashem. You are Talmidim of Yeshivas Timchit Mimim. You probably heard this, I don't know in so many details. The Rebbe Nishma, the father of the previous Rebbe, founded the yeshiva. And he said that for 10 years, he said that for 10 years, hat sich gewalgelt of the Ehalim, which means for 10 years he went to the Ehalim of all the Leves. He went to Mezhebush to the Ehel of the Baal Shem. He went to Hadich to the Ehel of the Alte Rebbe. He went to Nezhin to the Ehel of the Mikra Rebbe. Of course, he was in Lubavitch, the Ehel of the Tzemach Tzedek and the Rebbe Marash for 10 years. And what happened after the 10 years? After the 10 years, he made a yeshiva. You know how large the yeshiva was when he made it? You think it was what? Big yeshiva with 12,000 Talmidim? It had 18 Talmidim. Now, somebody would ask, for 18 Talmidim that he started, you had to go, Gewalgetzach means that he spent a lot of time on Nehalim. In those days, there were big yeshivas. There was a big yeshiva in Volozhin. There was a big yeshiva, the yeshiva was in Chaim Brisker. There was a big yeshiva in Slabodka. There was a big yeshiva in Grodno. There was a big yeshiva in so many other cities. There were big yeshivas in Mir. And the leaders of those yeshivas didn't spend 10 years on Kivrei Tzadikim. Yet they had a yeshiva that had hundreds of students. Now the Rebbe Nishma is making a yeshiva. Sachakalat had 18 students. And for those 18 students, he has to spend 10 years on all the Ehalim. How do you reconcile that? And the answer is that the Rebbe Nishma wasn't just establishing another yeshiva. Although it was different because it has Nigla and Tzidus together, the Rebbe Nishma was establishing Chayolei Beis David. He was establishing a military school, a military academy. So it was not just another yeshiva. The Rebbe Nishma said that he is in the last 3 generations before Moshiach, and we need an army. We need an army to conquer the world and prepare the world for Moshiach. I'm sorry. And to prepare the world, there are all kinds of alamas and stadium, all kinds of obstacles on the way to Moshiach. So we need to conquer the world. So it's not just another yeshiva. He wanted a yeshiva of Chayolei Beis David, that each one will be a general in the army of Beis David, in the army of David HaMelech's kingdom, and they are going to be those who are going to conquer the world and prepare the world for Moshiach. And Baruch Hashem, we see that it started with 18 Talmidim. Then in Lubavitch itself, there were 300 Talmidim later on. And Baruch Hashem, there are Lubavitch yeshivas throughout the world. And from the Talmidim, they became Shluchim. Today, Baruch Hashem, there are 4,000 Shluchim all over the world. All started with that little yeshiva of 18 Talmidim in Lubavitch. So we can understand what happened. That this is not just another yeshiva. You are Chayolei Beis David. Chayolei Beis David means there are many soldiers. Every Jew is a soldier. Chayolei Beis David, that is the prime brigade. The brigade, the Yirtzeh Hashem, that will conquer the world and prepare it for the coming of Mashiach. The Rebbe Nishma also said that he went to Gan Eden and he picked out each Talmid of Timchit Mimim, each Neshama, the Rebbe Nishma picked. which means that you were sitting here today in unison and you're so nicely and quiet, and I saw that you were applauding each other, the Ave, the Achve. It was a pleasure to hear. I must tell you, the noise you made when you applauded was beautiful. It was like music. Each one of you, your neshama was picked by the Rebbe Nishmasei. It's not that you just happened, you are learning in the Lubavitch Yeshiva. Nothing happens on its own. The Rebbe Nishmasei one thing on Nathan, he saw your neshamas among millions of neshamas, and he picked you because you have a mission, and you are Chayolik Beis Dovid, and we are all looking up for the success of your mission. Because we live, the Rebbe says, in the last generation of Golus, the first generation of Geula, and therefore it's this generation. Just yesterday we read, "V'tavchem asher amaltem lovas yidideh," which means the children that you all wrote off. You were thinking that the generation of Mashiach is going to be the generation of the Alter Rebbe, the generation of the Mital Rebbe, of the generation of the Chofetz Chaim. This generation born and raised on American soil, this is going to be the generation of Mashiach. It says yesterday, "V'tavchem asher amaltem lovaz yidideh," this generation that you wrote off, these American children, this is going to be the generation. Indeed, this is going to be the generation. This is the generation. I want to tell you, when I learned with Rabbi Eghaus in Bedford and Dean, we had a mashgiach, Rabbi Liss. You remember Rabbi Eghaus? And I remember telling a story. I never saw this story written, but I heard it from him probably more than once. He said that the Rebbe Nishmasei, when Yeshiva started, was sitting in his room, and he made himself a card for each Talmud, a little card. It was before computers. So he made on each Talmud, he made a card. On the card it said the name of the Talmud, the town of the Talmud, his Kishlenis means his ability, a progress report, and he spread out all the cards of all the Talmudim on his desk, and he leaned back on his desk, and he was sitting and smiling at these cards. There are ladies here, I'm sure they will know. What does a mother do? She puts out all the pictures of the children or the pictures of the grandchildren when nobody sees, and she locks the door and she quells. She looks at each one, and she has particular nachas from each one. And as the Rebbe Nishmasei is relaxing, so to speak, in the chair, and he's looking on the cards of the Talmudim, the door opens up, and the Frierdiker Rebbe, his son, walks in. And he caught him like in a compromising, in a personal position. And the Rebbe Nishmasei said, remember this Rebbe saying, he said to his son, these words, Ich spiel Sach mit den Talmidim und dem Techmimim, wie ein Kind mit seinen 10 Fingern. I am playing, or I'm enjoying the student, the Talmidim of the Techmimim, like a child plays with his 10 fingers. Today, the children have toys to play. In the old days, they didn't have toys, so they played with their 10 little fingers. That's what the Rebbe Nishmasei said. Which means that the Talmud of the Techmimim is like a child. Or perhaps you can say more than that, although it's difficult to say more than a child. And he enjoyed each Talmud, like and he was playing and enjoying each Talmud like a child was playing with his 10 fingers. I asked Rabbi Barris for Tanakh Yeshua. Thank you. Not only did I get Yeshua, I got Yeshua with English translation. I must tell you, I don't even know how to look in one with English translation, but I'm going to find it. The reason I asked for the Tanakh Yeshua, if I can find it here, is because this Shabbos is Gimel Tammuz. Where is it?
Don't worry, take time.
You got it? Thank you. This Shabbos, thank you. This Shabbos, it's with English translation. I'm not used to it either. And it's linear. This Shabbos is Gimel Tammuz. The Rebbe brings from Seder Elul. I think Rashi also brings Seder Elul. Did he say Seder Elul, right? So the Rebbe brings from Seder Elam is a chronicle of events with dates. There's a famous story with Yeshua, a world famous story. Everybody knows Yeshua stopped the sun on a certain date, and let's learn it inside. It says here like this, and if you permit me a poetic license. Yeshua said in front of everybody, what did he say? Shemesh begiving day, that the Shemesh should stop at giving, and the moon should stop on Emek Ayolim. It doesn't have the Nevoshim here. However, the Metzudas David says, why did he need the sun to stop? Because Yeshua was in the middle of waging a war against the enemy. And he was doing well, but he needed sunlight. And all of a sudden, it's before the Shkia, the sun is setting, it's going to become dark. He wouldn't be able to see, the soldiers wouldn't be able to see well. So Yeshua needed another few hours to win the war. So what do? So Yeshua said, the sun should stop where it is, right now, and everything, and the entire cosmic constellation should stop with it, so then I will have another few hours to win the war that we need. Number one, Yeshua should have made, and so it was, Yeshua should have made that statement to the moon, to the sun, and say, son, I want you to stop. It says here, Yeshua did it in front of everyone. Why is it everyone's bid? He should have said it to the sun and to the moon. Now, did it actually happen? Indeed, next pasuk it says, and the sun stopped, and the moon stopped, and the entire cosmic constellation stopped. Everything stopped until Yeshua was able to take revenge of the Jewish enemies. So now we know everything that happened. But the pasuk continues. Next pasuk. It says, Vayam made Hashemesh, and the sun stopped. Wait a minute. It just said before that the sun stopped. The pasuk Yud Gimel, in the beginning, it already said that the sun stopped. Vayidim Hashemesh v'yodei hachomot. Then the pasuk continues. Again, Vayam made Hashemesh, the sun stopped. And then it says, Bachatzi Hashemayim, in the middle of the heaven. Now, what's important to us is that the sun stopped, and that was before the Shkia, and the sun stopped before the Shkia, and it was still daylight, and that's what's important to us. Here we see, it says again that the sun stopped, and it also says it stopped in the middle of the heaven. Wait a minute, the sun was not in the middle of the heaven. The sun was on the Ma'alev side already. It was before the Shkia, the sun was setting. So it should have stopped on the Ma'alev side, not in the middle. Here it says again that the sun stopped, and why in the middle? Maybe that they say. And in Seder Elam, and then it says, and there was never such a thing. It's mentioned with a poetic license. It's Gimel Tammuz. Of all the days of the year, this happened on Gimel Tammuz. Gimel Tammuz is a day where many said that the sun set. Comes the pasuk and says to us, on this day, on the day when the entire world said that the sun set, and indeed, it was not a happy day. On that day, what does the pasuk say? Yeshua stopped the sun, but the pasuk says, "Vayidim Hashemesh v'yodei hachomot," that the sun is still shining on the day of Gimel Tammuz when the whole world thinks that the sun set. Not only that, Vayamed Hashemesh b'chatzi hashemayim. The sun remained. You know what chatzi hashemayim means? At least in our humble explanation, the sun gets up, rises in the morning on Mizrach. But when the sun rises in the morning, we have the sunshine. For the run, it's not Vateitze Hashemesh b'kvuloso. We do not have the strength of the sun yet. To prove it, it's not hot in the morning. Now, the day the sun rises, whatever, 5:30, 6 o'clock, it's not yet hot. Why isn't it hot? Although the sun is out, but we don't have the strength of the sun. Now, towards the evening, before the sun sets, again, it's not hot. Why? Because we don't have the rays of the sun in their full strength. When is it really hot? when the shemesh is b'chatzi hashamayim in the middle of the heavens, in the middle of the day, then it's really strong. Then it's what they say, hashemesh b'gvuloso, it's the shemesh in its strength. What the Pasuk is telling us, and this is why it says, that what we seek in the life, what we see is after Gimel Tammuz and there is a Nehel. Nevertheless, the sun on the skies of Lubavitch, Baruch Hashem, did not set. You see the success, Baruch Hashem, that Lubavitch, all 4,000 shluchim all over the world. There isn't one place in the world that the son of the Rebbe didn't reach there. There isn't a single place. I have a nephew who wanted to become a shliach and he wanted his own country. The only place he found was Cambodia. And Baruch Hashem today Cambodia is taken, and Vietnam is taken, and Laos is taken. Every place in the world. There isn't a city, there isn't a town where the sun, when the sun doesn't shine in its fullness all over the world. I remember I was a child. Remember this building was one of the nicest buildings we built. And at that time, such a beautiful building on Ocean Parkway and so on, which was absolutely wonderful. Today, Baruch Hashem, there are hundreds of minyanim of Bati Chabad throughout the world that have a price of $10 million and up. You see the Atzlocha of Chabad today, unprecedented. And all those Nevi HaSheker who said that if Chas v'Sholem something is going to happen, this movement is going under. But Tishka HaShemesh, the Shemesh is going to, sun is going to set. And what we see here on Gimel Tammuz, Vayamid HaShemesh B'chatzi HaShemayim, that the Shemesh is not only shining, it's at its strongest, it's B'chatzi HaShemayim, in the middle of the heavens, when it shines and lights and warms and radiates in the strongest possible way. So our message is that although we don't see the Rebbe today, and although there is a Nehel, nevertheless, but you see thousands. I sometimes go to the Nehel 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. That's, whatever. And it's full. It's people from all over, which means that the son of the Rebbe, the Belokas of the Rebbe, the leadership of the Rebbe, as we see in this capital, continue in an even greater fashion than before. Vayamid Hashemesh B'chatzi Hashemayim in its strongest, and it is our schus Gindelach that you are learning in the Rebbe's yeshiva, and if you're learning in the Rebbe's yeshiva, you are the children of the Rebbe, and you are the soldiers, the children and the soldiers together. You are his brigade in Yetz Hashem to bring about what the Rebbe wanted in all his years, was to bring the coming of Mashiach B'Feil Mamish, and you are the ones who have the schus, that you are the ones who will see that victory. So we all depend on you. You have a big, big job, and we are sure that you're going to be victorious, and your parents, your mothers, and your fathers, your grandfathers, your grandmothers will have on you.
I'd like to call up now for closing remarks. I'm sure that Baruch Hashem, we're all excited. After this, I believe that we have a presentation from some of the boys as well downstairs in the gym. So we'll just call up Rabbi Barris, who, without too much fanfare, too much talk, there's no doubt that sometimes a person can be behind the scenes doing all that needs to be done. And not always do you get to see that person behind the scenes, but I can assure you, Rabbi Barris is a man not only behind the scenes, he's on the scene. He's everywhere, all the time, just helping all the boys. As Rabbi Harari spoke about each child, I can tell you Rabbi Barris has very wonderful skills in knowing not only each boy and understanding each boy, but understanding the way in which to work with that boy, which that's everything, because not every boy fits the mold that you can deal with in the same way. Each child is an individual. Rabbi Barris has that intuitive nature that he can deal with each child on that child's level. So we're going to have Rabbi Barris say a few closing remarks, and we have a few extra rewards that some of the boys are unaware of that we'd like him to give out to. So Rabbi Barris.
The only thing I can say is I feel so bad that you won't have time to play the tennis ball that you guys made. But we're going to enjoy it. Thank you. Some of you, I remember coming in to kindergarten, some first grade, second grade, under the table, on top of the table, having a great time. But the best thing that I found is time does its job. Maturity is the greatest thing. Once you mature, all the work was done, you're on your own. So Baruch Hashem, I have the nachas to see that everyone matured, and everything that Rabbi Harari said is true, but that's not the end. You still have to keep growing. So we're going to hear reports about, those boys in this yeshiva, that yeshiva, it's a pleasure to have them. And make sure that that's the report I get. Okay, we have here some interesting things from the House of Representatives. And they would like that being that they run the country, they need citizens, and they want to know from the schools what kind of children we have, so they send an application, and they want to know what did your boys accomplish. So Baruch Hashem, we have from Congressman Robert L. Turner, who wants to congratulate one of our students, which this student wasn't so hard to figure out, because Baruch Hashem, he has come a long way, and we're very happy to give this beautiful certificate. This certificate congratulates Menachem Mendel Zula for extraordinary academic achievement and service to the community as he graduates from the Lubavitch School of Kabbalah. All right. The president of Borough of Brooklyn, Marty Markowitz, who wants the best of Brooklyn, and we have a boy who was not born in Brooklyn, but he definitely has the spirit of Brooklyn because of what he had to go through to be able to reach what he accomplished now. Coming from another country, with all the handicaps of another country, without the language, everything else, and yet he became a real Siddur Shabbat, a real Brooklynese. I would like to then read this to you. President of Borough of Brooklyn, Marty Michaels, presents the best of Brooklyn, Student Award of Excellence to Moshe Chelesh. State Comptroller does not want to be left out, so he says he also wants to have a good community man. So the State of New York offers the State Comptroller in recognition of hard work, dedication, and success, which he is 100% right. I do hereby recognize academic excellence and civic commitment of a very special boy who I did not see when he was younger, but from the time that we had him, I wish we had him when he was in kindergarten, because then he would have been already a big Rosh Hashiva. But the little time that we did have him, we see what he accomplished. Baruch Hashem, maybe should help, you should grow even more. Eliezer the Handler. This is going to be a shock to the person I'm going to call out, because he does not see himself in such a great way, because he's a very modest person, a big honor. So, this is for excellence, Yafatayre in Derech Eretz. This is to certify that Yosef Yitzhak Tolstein has been awarded the Kes Hashem for the award. By the Torah Communications Network and the Yeshiva, therefore they have given as well, which we know you're going to use. You have to get an MP3 player to be able to have the whole of Mishnah, Shisha Siddur Mishnah on the phone, together with this beautiful that will be able to leave yeshiva and get up late and not have to go to minyan, right? And no one's going to be on your back and say, why didn't you come, everything else. But the idea is that now you have your own conscience telling you, tomorrow morning, I have to get up, I have to go to minyan. Until you find yourself the proper yeshiva that will cater to you and you help the yeshiva, you still have your schedule. Don't lose it. Because once you keep your schedule, you'll be the boss, not the clock. The lady should help you, you should have a talk on everything you do. And the doors are always open, you know that you can always come back and visit us at any time with a big smile that you're doing great. There are refreshments next door, we'll open the door. And right after that, there is a special event. Your boys who are in the acrobats are working very hard. There will be a show. I imagine give them about 10 minutes to prepare, and we will all be able to go down to the gym to be able to see the beautiful show. And everyone worked hard, and some of them are in the 8th grade as well. So they're going to have to change their jackets and hats. I thought that out of my look up to all, and I was ready to